Welcome to Women in Leadership Talk, where you'll hear from successful women who are empowering other women with their stories of adversity, resiliency, and success. And here is your host, Vicki Bradley, founder and CEO of Women in Leadership Empowered.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women in Leadership Talk podcast. This is a podcast where we bring you amazing women, and sometimes we bring men on to talk about adversity, resilience, inspiration, innovation. And today we're thrilled to have Fran Maier here with us. So Fran, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Vicki.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. And Fran, I know you reside in a couple of places. So where are you calling in from today?
Today I'm in San Francisco.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're thrilled to have you. So thanks so much for being here. And I want to take a moment and thank our audience. We know you have a choice as to what podcast you listen to. So thanks so much for chiming in. Today we have, I think, a really interesting conversation. We have a serious disruptor with us. So let me give you a little background on Fran so you know why I've asked her to join us today. She's the founder and CEO of Babyquip, which is the #1 global baby gear rental brand. And over the past 25 years as a super founder and tech visionary, Fran has pioneered category disrupting business ventures, including Match.com and Trustee, which is now Trust Act. She's currently at the helm of Babyquip, the premier online baby equipment rental service designed for traveling families and powered by proprietary technology and an independent contractor community called Quality Providers. I can't wait to talk about more about this because I wish when my kids were little that this had been available.
All the time.
Yes. And I was sharing with somebody the other day, you were going to be on the show, and they were like, I didn't even know you could do that. And I'm like, I know, I'm so thrilled to get into this. But let me just give a little bit more feedback on you. She's frequently sourced as a media subject, keynote speaker, podcast guest, and author for her thought leadership on technology, female entrepreneurship, financial empowerment, and family travel trends and demographics. She's sought after for her insights as a Latina business leader. Fran and Babyquip are regularly featured in top-tier media such as Bloomberg, The Wall Street Journal, LA Times, Travel and Leisure, Wirecutter, and that goes on. And she has many accolades in her portfolio. But I think the important thing, Fran, is let's just jump in and this is a conversation about you and this gift you clearly have for identifying and disrupting and looking at where that gap is or that need is. So maybe just talk to us about why this need to make life easier.
Yeah, and I love it that we make life easier for traveling families by delivering cribs, strollers, car seats, whatever they need. I think that for me, I always was interested in what people are doing and what they're interested in and what their problems are. Mm-hmm. And I got started in this because back in 2012, I started to rent rooms in my house in San Francisco on Airbnb. And needless to say, I thought I was late to the game because when you live in San Francisco, you always think you're late to the game when it's early for everybody else.
Good point.
And as a many-time entrepreneur, I was thinking about what are the businesses that are going to emerge from this new way people are traveling. Mm-hmm. And also, what's going to emerge from this new way people are working? Because I was renting a couple of rooms in my house at $150 per night. All of a sudden, I was in gig economy. And that got me thinking, I mean, this is really kind of interesting. And of course, Uber and Lyft and all the gig economy businesses were sort of emerging around that time. And so I looked at property management businesses, but there were already a lot. Housekeeping related businesses didn't really appeal to me, but there were a lot of those too. But I met a gal in Santa Fe where I had 2 other vacation rental homes, and I live there now mostly. And she was renting baby gear. And as I looked at the market, Nobody was offering baby gear rental services at any sort of scale with any sort of focus on trust and safety, which I knew was going to be
Mm,
critical to
of
success,
course.
you know? And and we joined forces in and launched Babyquip in May of 2016.
Wow. That's, well, first of all, having the insight, amazing. I mean, my kids are older now, but like I said, I remember traveling from Canada to Tennessee, which is where my family lives. And, we had like this big Yukon truck, and it would be full of strollers and not crib, but playpens. And like, if you felt like you were moving half the house when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
tried to travel.
Parents are very particular about what they want too.
Yes.
You know? So yeah, we're solving a real problem. The I knew as a vacation rental host, I did not want to supply a high chair, cribs, car seats, strollers. I mean, I didn't when I first started Babyquip, I acted as a quality provider, one of our contractors to, see what the experience was to rent the gear to families in San Francisco. And let me tell you, those stairs in San Francisco are really, really tough. But but I had the experience of renting a stroller and I couldn't open it up. I mean, I didn't know how. Fortunately, there was YouTube, so it came to the rescue, but
Thank God for you
first
too.
person to have this issue.
Wow, wow. And that's a great point. Even what you just talked about, like when you think about geography, right? Some areas that becomes even more complex. Like San Francisco is a city with lots and lots of hills and lots of stairs. Toronto, very tight corners. Like
Right.
you don't have a lot of space to store that type of equipment, especially if you're a renter, like if you're someone who supplies the rental places.
Yeah, no, we're lucky. Most of our supply, they figure it out.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. They post in our private Facebook group how they organize their garage or their storage space, and even how they pack their car. Like we're talking just after Thanksgiving holiday, which is really big for us.
Hmm.
And some of these gals will have 4 or 5 deliveries or pickups on the same day, and
Wow.
car Tetris, or I should say SUV Tetris.
No kidding. No kidding. So how are they finding you, right? Like, cause I mean, I know new parents, especially in today's environment, they are much more on top technologically, but how do people find you to be able to rent?
We do a whole lot of different things, but from the very beginning, we're solving a problem. So when you have a problem, what do? You go to Google or a search engine. You say, "Rent baby gear, San Francisco." Sometimes they even say "rent baby," but Google knows that they mean rent baby gear. And that's still one of our main things. But to build awareness and to really reach those moms, we work with a lot of different influencers and a lot of social media as well.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So those of you listening, if you have friends, if you yourself have kids, like definitely that's something you want to do because that'll make your life so much easier when you're traveling. And I actually, one of my friends is just traveling to El Salvador over the holidays. And that was one of the things that they were talking about, which is why I was talking about you, because I said, oh, they should check Babyquip and see if they have any affiliations.
I'm not sure we're in El Salvador right now.
Okay. Well, it was worth a shot.
We are focusing on expanding to Mexico and the Caribbean.
Okay.
So I just don't think we've got to El Salvador. Costa Rica, yes.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. So
Yeah.
you're slowly getting there. That's awesome. And so what I loved when I was reading more about you and your profile is one, that diversity that you have in disruption. So you talked about, renting rooms in your house, which, was sort of when Airbnb started out, and now you're doing Babyquip, but you also were at the helm at Match.com for a bit. And so maybe tell us, like, that's a big difference from sort of an Airbnb and Babyquip. What,
Well,
how did you get there?
in fact, I just did a presentation called "From Marriage to Carriage: The Surprising Similarities Between Match.com and Babyquip," and they're both marketplaces. Okay. They both rely on trust and safety.
Mm.
And there's a few, and they both had me, but
Mm.
Match was super, super interesting. I was a co-founder and the first general manager of Match.com, and I launched it in 1995. So ancient history at this point. And it's really
Wow.
interesting because online dating is getting a little bit of a bad name again. But back then, um, the model for newspapers was newspaper personals, where you'd
Hmm.
call a 900 number. And the business model was the longer they kept you on the phone, the more money you spent or the more money they made, right?
Yeah.
And they were fairly sleazy, okay?
Yes.
Because that would generate more minutes on the phone, right? So with Match, we really had a strategy from the very beginning of wanting to attract women. And we figured if we got the women who believe back then were not participating in the internet as much as men, that of course has changed.
Hmm.
Um, but if we got the women, we'd get the men. And that led us down a path of really making it a clean, well lit space, focusing a lot on trust and safety. So we were the first to suggest, don't meet somebody at your house, meet at, you know,
Public place.
place. Don't give away too much of your personal information until you build up some trust and all of that. So we really focused on that. And I think the women who listen to you will appreciate this. Um, they have probably, the ones who have done online dating, never had to put down their weight in pounds. And that's
Good point.
because of me. Because I knew if we were trying to attract women, we did not want to do something like ask them for their weight, more like body type. Now,
Yes.
had I really been prescient, I wouldn't have asked men about or women how tall they are.
Yes. Wow, I can't believe you just said that, because those are two things I hear all the time, depending on which gender I'm speaking to. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of interesting. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Um, we sold it in 1998 for very little money, less than $8 million.
Wow.
I did not get, it really wasn't my decision. We were owned by a company called Electric Classifieds, and they were trying to get the classified business for newspapers and needed some money.
Mm.
And of course, they never made it. You know, this was before eBay and Craigslist and now all the plethora of classified advertising businesses.
Wow.
Nobody can take away the experience I had. And I meet people all the time who met on online dating, and usually they're happy with me. Occasionally I get people who say, "Why did you do this?"
It's your
Well,
fault, Fran.
well, yeah.
Wow. So two things I heard. Well, I heard it's same theme that I heard you talk about, was trust. So, regardless of the type of business, whether you're renting out a room, you're renting baby equipment, you're online dating, there's that theme of trust. And so, what drives your decision making when you're thinking about building that trust from a technological aspect?
Um, just stepping back, I'd say my whole career has been building about brands based on trust.
Hmm.
So the last startup I did was Trust Arc, which is about privacy and so on. And early in my career, after going to Stanford Business School, I was at the Clorox company and was working on brand,
Okay.
and the brands were Keys for Charcoal and Formula 409 and Hidden Valley Ranch salad dressing. All of those are owned by Clorox. People don't know that. In any case, I really have been a student of building brands,
Hmm.
and brands are based on trust, right? And in certain categories like dating and dealing with babies and dealing with your personal information, trust is everything.
Mhm.
So from a technology standpoint, you've got to enable it. And it's not just technology, it's policies and
Mhm.
the infrastructure that you put into place. So for example, on Babyquip, we interview all of the quality providers. So we know that they're legit, even
Mhm.
though they're really not going to spend time with the kids. But just in case. We train them on safety and cleanliness. We check their inventory to make sure everything is up to date and hasn't expired. You might not, you probably know car seats expire, but
Mm-hmm.
cribs expire too.
Mm-hmm. And I think high chairs do as well, don't they?
Well, I don't think so, but I could be
No?
wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Um, we don't collect personal information. We work with Stripe, who does that. So
Okay.
we have liability insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very expensive, not just for
Mm-hmm.
the company, but for our contractors in case something happened. And I'm knocking on the wood. We have never even had a claim, but nonetheless, all of that is part of a trust infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does, and let's just think about insurance, it makes sure that those orders stay on the platform. So the quality providers don't go off platform and take the money directly from the customer because then they'd have no insurance. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that that's important.
Sure.
It's the customers who want to go off platform, by the way.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Having the insurance helps us with partnerships because they want to partner with somebody. But also having insurance at this point is a really big competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of money. And it took a lot of time for us to get to the point of being able to qualify for any insurance, much less expensive insurance.
Yeah, no kidding. No
So,
kidding.
so trust isn't just an expense. It isn't just a marketing thing. It
Mhm.
is really part and parcel of what we're doing.
Okay, okay. Well, I love that. And I'm hearing a lot of this, especially in the world of technology and AI becoming, so dominant, and people are nervous. And that's why I was asking that question about trust. And I don't know how much or if you use AI, but if you have comments on that, like
Well,
that becomes
I mean, every company I think is using AI one way or the other.
sure.
We right now aren't building our own AI tools. That's not to say we won't, but all our marketing vendors do targeting based on AI. There's
Right.
content creation based on AI. Customer service is incredible because I mean, it's so fast. You give it the data set of here's our rules, our manuals, the way, and it just answers questions in multiple languages, just
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Which is
I mean,
amazing.
it's amazing. I mean, uh, yeah, there's some concerns about it, and it's an interesting time. What can I say, Vicki?
Yeah.
I've had a career in technology um, during some of the most interesting times I can possibly imagine.
Well, it sounds like it. And you've been able to pivot between different industries, but at the core it sounds like there's still the nucleus is the same regardless. So it does come back to trust and finding the gaps, right? Where are the opportunities where people have a pain point, and how do you help with that pain point? Yeah. So as you okay, so you've gone through different iterations. What do you feel like, Fran, have been some of those biggest challenges to date? And I'm talking even like those personal challenges when you're thinking about, for an example, the sell off of Match, or now you're partnering with somebody at Babyquip. What are some of those challenges, and how do you approach that? Because I know our audience, we're all like, yes, but that's Fran. She's done this. And so maybe paint that picture.
I know there were a lot of different challenges, and I touch on the match one. Years later, I was at the company Trust Arc, and we were a nonprofit at the time, industry association.
Hmm.
And I knew we needed technology to really scale and do a better job. But as a not for profit, there was no way to get the capital.
Sure.
And I had to convince a board of directors, mostly privacy lawyers, that we need to switch to for profit and raise money. And I pretty much gave them an ultimatum. I don't typically do that, but it was like, I can't continue to run this company because we're not going to be able to scale, and it's not going to be a success unless I can um, raise some money and They didn't believe that I was going to be able to do it. And I raised $10 million in 2008 from Excel.
Wow.
And they were pretty surprised.
I bet they were, especially 2008, because
Well, yeah,
the
it was right. God, I got in right before we knew the recession that we were going into. And, I've had my ups and downs. A few years later, I was replaced as CEO. That was okay. I mean, I didn't really want to continue to do privacy. It was time for me to do something else. I'd say for Babyquip, the biggest issue was the pandemic. I mean,
Mhm.
on March 6, 2020, we were on Shark Tank. My son, who serves as our CTO, and I were, our Shark Tank episode aired. I had a party, 50 people, you know, nobody got sick.
Yay.
Instead of the business going up like most Shark Tank companies do, we got a
Mm.
lot of traffic. Instead, we got a lot of cancellations.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, because people were afraid to travel, right?
And
So,
and by the way, I was not getting paid very much at Babyquip because I was relying on my vacation rental income.
mm,
And that went down too. And I remember just sitting there thinking, oh my God, I am so exposed. But what do? I mean, what choice do you have? You hunker down. Everybody took a pay cut. Um, I closed an investor that I wasn't sure I wanted, but once the pandemic hit, I was like, yes, I very much want them.
mm,
They made the investment by the end of March of that year, 2020. And surprising surprise, we got government money.
hmm
And we spent the time really working on the platform. We stopped spending a lot of money on marketing. And by 2021, especially in Florida, things started to come back.
mm.
And now, when that rerun of our Shark Tank episode happens, our numbers are so much lower. I'm like almost embarrassed now. And then people send me the emails. Well, why didn't you do this, that, and the other? It's like, oh my God, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Hindsight
we still
2020.
did it in 2019. I mean,
Yeah. Well, and that's a great share that you just, shared with the audience, because anytime, well, in life, doesn't matter personally and professionally, there's always these ups and downs, but it's what's important is what you actually do with it, right? And so what were the things that supported you to keep going, to you mentioned hunkering down, cutting expenses. What else, like, for you personally, helped you really navigate some of the complexity? And I mean, these are completely unforeseen situations, right?
I know. Looking back on it, Vicky, honestly, I think I really did go into and I'm very optimistic and sort of even killed person, and it was rough. I mean, there was a touch of depression in there.
Yeah.
Also, my mother was declining, and I that around that time I moved to Santa Fe to be closer to her during the pandemic because she was in a retirement community that basically shut down as they all did. So thinking back on it, it was rough. I obviously have the support of my two sons and who are grown men now, and a whole bunch of friends. Um, and I don't know. You take it one day at a time, I guess.
Mm,
It
okay.
was a difficult time. You
Yeah,
know.
well, it sounds like it. And, each of us, everybody I'm sure listening to the show, like, adversity hits usually when it's unexpected, right? But it's how we choose to navigate it. So it sounds like, you had a very practical and realistic approach that, okay, I got it. What do I need to do to get through this?
Sometimes, and I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, and they get overwhelmed by all the to dos. And
Hmm
one piece of advice I have is pick five,
hmm
pick five on a given day. And if you continue to do 3 to 5 things every day, believe me, it starts to add up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you get
Well, that's a very great point.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. And what you just said, like, it's being able to recognize that it is accumulating. It is, things are getting done. Things are moving in a different direction. And if one direction is not working, then you pivot and you rework and do a different direction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. So, Fran, when you think about entrepreneurs that are out there and they're like, oh, I have this great business idea and, what if it doesn't work? What if, I'm a failure? Like, what would your advice be to them?
You know, there's a lot of things that you got to do. Um, it's almost the same advice. Start taking the steps that you need to take. Um, try not to get overwhelmed. Try to validate your idea as quickly as possible,
Mm-hmm.
especially before you see investors. You want something to show that makes it real. I think what I often tell, especially women, is believe in yourself. If you think this is a good idea, maybe you got the idea from your professional experience, maybe you got it from your personal experience. Try and have the confidence and the belief in what you're doing, because that actually really emanates to other people. And be excited about it. I mean, every once in a while I watch some of the podcasts or videos that I do. And I could see that when I talk about Babyquip and some of the stuff that we do, I perk up. So obviously that means something.
Yeah. Great point. That's a really great point. If you're going to do something, do it with heart and soul,
Yeah,
right?
like it,
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And, just to add on what Fran's saying there.
Going back to the pandemic, I really didn't have any other choice. Right? I mean, what was I going to do with my time? Let this thing go? And that
Mm,
didn't make any sense.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you keep going. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and to expand on what you were just saying there, like, sometimes it's easy to get into that spiral of, what if nobody likes this product? What if nobody likes the idea? What if I don't make it successful? What if, all to the negative? And it's very easy to flip that script to the positive as well, that what if this is such a great success you can't keep up? What if this is the most innovative thing that, the world has ever seen? And, we've got partners and investors coming out of nowhere that we would have never
I wish I
anticipated.
had that problem.
See, there you go. And the point being, if you don't try, how will you know? Right?
Right, and honestly, Vicky, I can't. As many people who have told me, I wish you guys were around when my kids were little.
Mm,
We've heard as many people say, "I had that idea." I'm like,
really?
"Good for you,"
Yeah.
but it's not the idea;
Yeah.
it's the execution.
It is the execution.
And
Yes.
it's sort of the idea. I mean, one of the things that I used to watch with my kids was American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things the judges would say is you pick the right song for your voice or you pick the wrong song for your voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Song choice, right? And I think when I was in the stage of thinking, what am I going to do next after Trust Arc, I was thinking about song choice. And when I saw the baby gear rental business, I kind of knew that was a good match. You know,
Oh,
I
love
knew
it.
marketplaces, I knew consumer brands, I had the insight of being a vacation rental host. So, you know, thinking about song choice, I know some other people who started some companies that were way outside their comfort zone. And they might have been good ideas, but maybe it wasn't the best song choice for them.
Mm. I love how you just pulled that together. I mean, that to me, that's very powerful, because you're right. Sometimes it can be timing or it could be the song choice. But don't give up on your ideas, I would say, and test that market. See if there is, something valid to it. Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow. Well done, Fran.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I am going to wrap us up. And I want to take a moment and just thank you for being here today and sharing your journey, your story with us. But how can I know we talked about Babyquip, and they can find you if they just Google baby rentals, that kind of thing. If people have questions or want to talk further, or maybe have an idea and they go, "Oh, what would Fran tell me about this idea?" Like, how could they reach out to you?
Yeah, they could find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I do my best. I'm not perfect about responding to everybody, but it's Fran Maier, Maier.
Okay, awesome. So you heard that, Fran Maier on LinkedIn. And if you do have questions and you can't reach Fran, let me know. I'll be happy to share those questions with her. Our point in having these podcasts is to inspire, is to motivate, is to help you recognize that not everything is a bed of roses. You've heard Fran share, like she went through the pandemic, the classifieds, it was a different time. And I mean, Match.com today is probably worth,
Million.
yeah. I hate to even think how much it's worth. So don't give up is the point. Don't give up on your dreams. And sometimes, it is just tapping into the market and seeing, but don't regret later in life where you say, "Oh, I had that idea. I should have done something with it." Test it.
Yeah,
See. Yeah, try it. Awesome. Well, Fran, thank you so much for being here with us today. This has been a great conversation and lovely to get to know you. And I would ask what's next with what do you plan to do next?
In terms of Babyquip, we're looking forward to some really strong partnerships that I think are really going to vault us in a big way. And that's really what we're focusing on. And for me personally, holidays, friends and family, you know.
Nice. Well,
Yes.
we wish you a happy holiday
Thank you.
and hope, peace, love, joy, that you get everything that you want during this holiday season. And we extend that to all of our audience, no matter how you tend to celebrate this time of year. We want to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season. And, as a gift to you from WIL Empowered, Women in Leadership Empowered, you can visit our website and sign up for 2 free mini series that we share with our audience. One is on fear, which will help a little bit with that what if negative talk into reframing into positive talk, and another one on habits and the habits that we create that help fuel us. So thank you everyone for being here. Fran, thank you again. Happy holiday season.
You too.
All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next Women in Leadership Talk podcast. Take care. Thank you for joining us for WIL Talk, sponsored by Women in Leadership Empowered. To learn more about our programs, please visit www.willempowered.com. We look forward to seeing you in our community.